this edition of Go Vote Omaha, presented by the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha. I'm Krystal Fox, Membership Director with the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha, and I will be our facilitator for tonight's conversation. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization and does not endorse political candidates or parties. Our purpose is to empower voters and defend democracy. Go Vote Omaha focuses on policy issues. As a result of our discussions, we hope you will be ready to make informed decisions during the election time. The views expressed at this educational event are not necessarily aligned with those of the League of Women Voters, but are expressed at the discretion of our guests. Today we will hear from 4 candidates for the Nebraska legislature to represent District 13. Our objective is for voters to hear about issues and policies directly from candidates in a nonpartisan environment. To find out more about the candidates that will be on your ballot this May, visit vote411.org, organized and published by League of Women Voters of Nebraska volunteers. The format for today is as follows. Each candidate will get a 1-minute opening statement, followed by questions prepared by the League of Women Voters. Each candidate will answer every question, will have up to 45 seconds to answer. Following the question portion, each candidate will have a 1-minute closing statement. We alternate speaking order throughout the forum. Before the forum, the candidates drew numbers to determine the initial speaking order. I will introduce them now in that order. The 4 candidates running for Legislative District 13 are Clough, Tracy Hightower-Henne, Ashlei Spivey, and Nick Batter. Let's start with opening statements. Matt?
Thank you very much, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for having us here today. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak to folks in this forum. I've been in Legislative District 13 since 1985. I've had the privilege of raising a family there, and it's a great place, and I want to continue to bring my skills and talents to the district. I bring some unique skills, one of which is working for 6 years at the Department of Health and Human Services, so I have a good, clear understanding of how government works, and as a state legislature, we'd be able to hit the ground running and affect change in a quick and effective way, knowing the inside and out of the system. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy?
Yes, thank you first to the League of Women Voters for hosting this candidate forum. I'm Tracy Hightower-Henne, Legislative District 13 candidate. I'm a lifelong Nebraskan, and I've lived in Nebraska my whole life with the exception of 3 years. I went to law school in Michigan, and early in my legal career, I became heavily involved in advocacy work in criminal justice reform with the Nebraska Innocence Project as the executive director. And my experience with the Innocence Project also opened my eyes to the need for strong reentry programs that support individuals transitioning back into society after incarceration. And more recently, I've become involved in reproductive justice advocacy work, and I'm currently on the board of Planned Parenthood Advocates of Nebraska. And I've been knocking thousands of doors in our district, and I hear people talk about property taxes, education, employment, and housing, and I hope to work on those issues in the legislature, and I hope to earn your vote on May 14th.
Thank you. Ashlei?
Thank you, Krystal, and thank you, League of Women Voters, for having us. So for the last 8 years, I have worked as a lobbyist really intimately with the state legislature. I have seen great policy passed, like expanding postpartum coverage from 60 days to a year, which I hope to work on and get through in here in Nebraska, and I've seen really bad policy passed. And I think now it's time for a change. We need leaders who actively center people before policy. Nebraskans deserve better. Our future is really dependent on the leadership that we have coming in now, and I'm really excited to put my name in the running for the next senator for Legislative District 13. So I'm excited for the conversation tonight, and I look forward to earning your vote on May 14th.
Nick?
Great. I'm Nick Batter. Thanks to the League, thanks to you, Krystal, and also thanks to the other candidates. I think oftentimes our part of the city and part of our state lacks a lot of options, so I think we're all doing the service by giving our neighbors choices. I really love the place that I live. It's the place where I'm raising 3 young children and plan to live the rest of my life. But a challenge that I think we all feel where we live is that we're often overlooked. We're overlooked by the state, we're overlooked by the city, and study after study shows that our infrastructure is in the worst shape. We have some of the worst healthcare access. Our public schools are having challenges. So I'm running because this is the place that I want to spend the rest of my life, and I want my children to stick around. So I want to improve that for my neighbors, and I have day one plans to do that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll get into the questions now. So the first question, this will start with you, Tracy, is what do you hope to accomplish in your time in the legislature?
During my time in the legislature, I aim to make meaningful contributions that positively will affect the constituents in Legislative District 13. I want to work on promoting equity and justice through criminal justice reform, work on overcrowding of the prison systems, and enhancing public health and safety, and certainly strengthening our public school education system. And so overall, my aim is to be a voice for the constituents of District 13 and take your voice to the legislature.
Thank you. Ashley?
Thank you. So I plan to prioritize economic inclusive prosperity. I think it's really important when you think about general wealth and people just actualizing what they want for their lives. You have to own your home. You have to think about business ownership. And so really making sure people have the resources that they need to live healthy, full lives. Thinking about health equity, and not just from accessing medical care, but what does your built environment look like? How do we address environmental justice? Really thinking about our public education systems and making sure that we have vibrant corridors and communities throughout District 13, as well as the rest of Nebraska.
Thank you. Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my time in the legislature, I think the ultimate test is how much better does my neighborhood and my community look when I leave. And so my focus is on things that I can do that will improve that. So we have some affordable housing in the area, but a lot of that isn't quality affordable housing. Some of that's because we're giving six-figure tax breaks to slumlords that buy up these houses and don't repair them to the detriment of our neighborhoods. Another really big issue is our aging infrastructure, which I'd love to talk about. But also there's a lot of federal programs that our tax dollars go to that Nebraska is just not taking advantage of. We're paying taxes for other states to have better healthcare access. I'd like to bring those tax dollars home. It wouldn't increase our taxes at all, but it would certainly improve our lives.
Thank you. Matt?
Yeah, I guess first and foremost, I would like to learn more about the vision that people have, particularly in the North Omaha area. And I want to bring my skills, my talents, my resources to bear to make their vision a reality. It's a lot of those things include a safe place to live, addressing trauma, affordable housing, infrastructure. What Nick mentioned is important. Healthcare. There's been a great start, but it is just that. It's just a start. So I think it's North Omaha in many ways is a gem within our community, and we need to begin to polish it so that it shines like it can.
Thank you. Question 2. Ashley, you'll start with this one. What do you consider to be the essential services of a state government?
Yeah, so I think Nebraska has a lot of responsibility in making sure that, one, people are first and everyone thrives. And so we really need to make sure that we are building a better Nebraska and improving the lives of our neighbors and our community on a daily basis. So there's some standard management, right, of state agencies, infrastructure items, but we really need to start thinking about envisioning long-term. What do we want to see for ourselves? What do we want to be, and what does the state need to look like? Public education is highly important for the vision and the future of Nebraska, so I think we really need to start making sure that folks in these positions are prioritizing public education, as well as thinking about health equity. 75,000 of our Nebraskans are on Medicaid, so when we talk about health and what does that look like, that needs to be a priority.
Thank you. Nick?
Yeah, so the fundamental role of government and our state government is giving our communities the tools for those communities to flourish, and that comes in a variety of ways. One of them is just making sure we're enforcing the laws and enforcing rules, but another is providing essential services. So a really important thing we need is the tools to do that. A lot of the areas, a lot of the roads look the way they did in our neighborhoods 100 years ago. We have a lot of unpaved roads. We have a lot of homes that aren't connected to modern sanitary facilities. And we have a lot of lines leading to homes that are still lead pipes. So there's a lot of infrastructure work that needs to be done, and that will make our lives healthier.
Thank you. Matt?
I think state government has to have a primary responsibility of equitably using our tax dollars. Too oftentimes they don't go to the places that they're needed, and some folks feel overburdened by the tax situation, and others don't feel like they receive enough. And so state government should really focus more on the equitable use of the resources that they have, which are our tax dollars.
Thank you. Tracy?
Some essential services of state government definitely include education and ensuring that every child has access to quality education regardless of their background or zip code. Public safety is also important, but also near and dear to me as an attorney is the administering of justice through our court systems and looking at making sure our reentry programs are solid and our problem-solving courts and mental health awareness and those types of things are really focused on, along with transportation and healthcare, are definitely essential services of state government.
Thank you. Nick, you'll have our first answer on question 3. How should the problem of prison overcrowding be handled?
I think the most direct thing we can do to solve prison overcrowding is dealing with the fact that a lot of people, first of all, people leave prison without a state ID. We've locked them up. We know enough about them to take away their liberty, but we don't know enough about them to give them an ID. It seems like we can prepare them for that and prepare them for the workforce. Because today, as it stands, 30% of people leaving prison will be back in those state prisons within 3 years. So ensuring that we're not putting people back in prison is a good way to solve that. Another issue is 40% of our prison population spent time in the foster care system. So by making sure we have a good transition for kids aging out of the foster care system and going into careers where they'll have successful lives is a great way to make sure that population stays down.
Thank you. Matt?
Yeah, I would agree with what's been said. The recidivism has to be lower. It's a revolving door. And we've got to have better programs for folks coming out of prison to reintegrate back into society as productive members. And until we do that, the natural tendency is to go back to the life that they'd lived prior to incarceration. So reducing recidivism, the foster care system should be looked at closely, and what we can do there to prevent crime and incarceration.
Thank you. Tracy?
I'm a proponent of restorative justice, and with that includes a multifaceted approach about our prison system, which includes, like I mentioned, strong reentry programs, problem-solving courts, diversion and sentencing guidelines changes. We also need to focus on mental health and substance abuse treatment. If we have addiction problems and we're not treating those addiction problems, all we're going to see is recidivism. So we need to focus on rehabilitation and redemption, but also in prioritizing public safety while we're doing that as well.
Thank you. Ashlei?
Thank you. We really need to address the root causes of why people are in prison. I'm the former board chair for ACLU Nebraska, and we've done a lot of work around smart justice and what does that reform look like. And so that's sentence reform, understanding fines and fees, thinking about community policing, addressing the school to prison pipeline, right? There's not a single answer to address what we're seeing in this very complex system, but we need a collective impact approach, pulling multiple levers, multiple solutions on how we address the overcrowding and really the core root reasons of why someone is experiencing incarceration. I do know for a fact that the answer is not building a bigger prison. It's not putting more people in jail. And we really need to start working with folks that are system impacted, that have experienced the system, to curate the right solutions.
Thank you. Thank you. Matt, for question 4, we'll start with you. What can we do as a state to attract and retain young people in areas such as education, walkability, housing, and social issues?
Wow. I think everything we can do to hang on to our young people, for starters, as well as attract people from outside the state. Those are very important initiatives. Education, I think, plays a huge role in hanging on to folks. Just promoting the industry within our state, promoting the agri-industry and others that are so important and vital to our state. And we're really a hub in those areas. So to be able to attract those folks to stay here and to enjoy successful lives in those ventures would be a terrific first step.
Thank you. Tracy?
I want Nebraska to be a place where people can thrive and survive and feel safe and secure in their homes. And I think that young people need to feel all of those things, and we can attract and keep new talent in Nebraska by being more inclusive and providing opportunities in employment and affordable housing. And a business owner myself, I believe in providing incentives for entrepreneurship, for people to be able to start their own businesses, and addressing concerns for young families such as paid sick leave and other employment benefits that value and reward employees are really important in order to attract and retain new talent in Nebraska.
Thank you. Ashlei?
Thank you. So I'm a boomerang. Our lifelong Cornhusker left and came back. And then when I was in my 20s coming back, thinking about why do I stay, what was really important for me is to have that sense of belonging. Can I see myself in my community? Can I add value? Can I use my leadership in ways that I want to? I don't want to just go to work and come home. I want to have cultural amenities and be able to get the things that I need. And so we really need to think about inclusive economic prosperity. How does that add to the workforce? And then making sure that we not just attract folks, but keep them here in a way that is meaningful for them and adds value to what we want to build here in Nebraska.
Thanks. Nick?
Yeah, I think that there's three things that are considered when someone's starting their career in their life and thinking about where they want to live. One, they want vibrant communities, which we have, but we need to work to improve them and sustain them. Second is they want good paying jobs. And especially for some of the talents that we're trying to attract, nurses, teachers, our paraprofessionals, we need to make sure that the pay that those professionals are providing is equal to the enormous value that they provide to our society. And finally, the promise of home ownership. I think for most Americans that should be a goal. And by making sure we have quality, affordable housing, that's an absolutely great way to attract people from outside the state and keep the people in our state here.
Thank you. Question 5, Tracy, we'll start with you. Does Nebraska need to change its method of redistricting? Why or why not?
Certainly Nebraska needs to consider keeping the nonpartisanship of our unicameral in the idea of redistricting as well. And we shouldn't allow senators to make those lines. They should be looked at as a whole in our state, and then also I think we can look at other states' options and other resources that we have seen in some other states for redistricting as well.
Ashlei?
Yes, absolutely. I definitely think that there's an opportunity to think about and how we are redistricting in Nebraska. It's really important that we do not continue to disenfranchise folks that have been pushed to the margins, that we are able to make sure that the constituents and Nebraskans can actually be represented in a way that allows their voice to be heard and then have that appropriate representation. And so I think as we continue down the path of making sure that we have a strong democracy and that our processes match our practice, we absolutely need to think about how redistricting happens and what needs to happen to ensure that it's done in a fair and appropriate manner.
Nick?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of things in Nebraska that make us unique that are under attack right now. Our unicameral, our nonpartisan unicameral, and the way that our districts are set to make it fair and make sure that people in every community have a voice and are represented. I'm proud to be one of the few people running statewide that hasn't sought support from national parties, because my goal is to be accountable to my neighbors and work for them. And I think that's the way Nebraska democracy has worked for 80 years, and I hope it continues to work that way for 80 more years.
Matt?
Yeah, I think we should constantly look at our processes around a variety of things, including redistricting. Omaha's growing and changing, and the process should reflect how it grows to make sure that, as Ashlei said, that we aren't disenfranchising anybody, that everybody has a voice and is well represented. So to the question, yes, we should always be reviewing those kinds of processes. to make sure that people are well represented.
Thank you. We'll finish off with our 1-minute closing statements. We'll go in the order we began. So Matt, you'll start, and 1 minute.
Okay. Well, again, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And just want to talk about for a second how I would be differentiating the job from the other folks here. It's a lot of experience within state government. I'm not a politician. I'm a business guy and have been all my life, with the exception of the time I spent at the Department of Health and Human Services as a bureaucrat. But bring a lot of experience, as well as nationally and internationally. I've done mediation and reconciliation work in war-torn countries. And sometimes I think that the unicameral really needs to have somebody there who can skillfully negotiate the relationships and bring some reconciliation to the group so that they can move ahead with great things for Nebraska.
Thank you. Tracy?
Yeah, again, thank you to the League of Women Voters for holding the candidate forum. I'm running for this position because I'm deeply committed to serving the people of District 13. And with a background in community service and a passion for social justice, I feel deeply excited to represent the people of District 13. And like Matt, I have in my career as a lawyer, I'm a trained mediator and a collaborator, and I've worked with people of different political backgrounds to get jobs done. And I believe that I have skills and perspectives to address diverse challenges in our district. And I'm committed to fostering collaboration and promoting equity and ensuring that every voice is heard in our community.
Thank you. Ashlei?
Thank you. I'm really excited for this opportunity to evolve my leadership in the next natural step in running for office. I have dedicated my personal life and my career to working in community transformation. I have started the first and only reproductive justice organization in the state of Nebraska. I am working around reproductive rights. I have worked exclusively in the legislature thinking about people-centered policy. And so I'm really excited to be able to bring my community with me to the Capitol. We need someone that is going to do something different. We need someone that understands and doesn't think that they're an expert in everything, right? But really understands, how do you build the right team around you? How do you curate policy from those that have the lived experience and expertise to then not start with just this idea of what you want, but what community really wants that's codified by policy making. And that's what I bring. I bring a different perspective that is needed right now at this point of time in our state and our community. And I'm excited to be able to do that in this moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick?
So it's really easy to say as a candidate that, I'm great and here are the great things about me, but the truth is that I've never accomplished anything worthwhile on my own. I grew up in deep poverty, and the only reason I made it out of that was thanks largely to my public school teachers. And I don't believe that anybody should have to rely on luck. So the reason I'm running is to eliminate luck from the equation as much as we can. Our kids' future should not be defined by their zip codes. Our neighborhood shouldn't be defined by how much slumlords have bought up the area. We need to be improving our practices, policies, grabbing more federal funds of taxes we're already paying to serve and benefit our communities. And if we do that, we can have transformative change in short order.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us tonight. If you want to learn more about the candidates and issues that will be on your ballot, visit vote411.org for a personalized resource tool. A special thank you to the candidates participating in tonight's conversation. For the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha, I'm Krystal Fox. As always, we urge you to be informed and be a voter on May 14th. Go vote Omaha.